Let's pray. Father God, we thank you for this day, and Father, for all the blessings you give us. And Father, we thank you for the rain you sent our way today. Father, we just thank you for all the blessings sometimes that we don't come back and say thank you for. Father, we ask you to be with these names that have been mentioned tonight, their families of lost loved ones, Father, their family that have critical ill family members, Father. And Father, we ask that everything that we say and do and discuss tonight would give honor and glory to you, and forgive us where we fail you. It's in Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Amen. Can't get her. Yeah. We're going to go ahead and start without Daniel, but if we get into a legal matter, we have to skip over that and come back. Yeah, so there's several things down, so maybe we'll get that. All right, we'll call the meeting to order, and then we need to adopt the agenda. Need a motion? That's a motion from Kagan, second by Nicole. All in favor? Has everyone had a chance to look over the minutes last week? Okay, we would need a motion to adopt the minutes. Cinnamon?
Did you get the addition that Daniel sent out late today?
Yes. Agenda? That was on the agenda, yes. But now I was talking about the minutes.
Oh, he sent out a note saying we needed to add to the minutes?
I must have missed that.
The minutes or the agenda?
The minutes.
I missed it somehow.
Was it the MEMA thing?
So we need to amend the minutes to add the...
There was the MEMA.
The MEMA.
The MEMA.
I probably hadn't looked at it.
The MEMA district.
Yeah, we did pass it. We just left out the minutes. Okay, so we need to... We need to have a motion to amend the minutes to put the...
I make a motion to amend the minutes to add the MEMA District 1 Regional Hazard Mitigation Plan as adopted last year.
Okay.
I just missed his email.
We have a second. Did I hear? Cinnamon second, I'm sorry.
It came out about 4 o'clock today.
You got that?
So can we adopt the minutes with that amendment?
Now
Yes.
we can re-adopt the minutes.
Yeah. So Kagan made the motion now to adopt the minutes with that correction.
Yes.
And Cinnamon second.
Yes.
And all in favor of that? Okay, we have the dockets of claims approval in front of you. I don't have a chance to look at them yet.
We don't have to start voting on those, just like the minutes. So.
Yeah, I mean, this,
in addition to signing this.
Yeah, we need to. There he comes.
Missed
Yeah.
it.
We ain't got any trouble yet. Okay, we do need a motion then to adopt the claims approval, going to pay the bills. Fred makes that motion. We have a second.
We just got this. Everything else was emailed to us.
It's kind of hard to email that.
Yes, sir. It's hard to look over.
You know, I think we got a lot to do tonight or something. I swear.
Start on time, yeah.
Is the workman's comp quarterly payment?
It is.
Y'all already praying everything?
Yeah. We're down to item 4 on the agenda. You know,
Reduce the attorney's payment.
we just said that if we wouldn't say anything got us in trouble, you got here.
Well,
We were just, maybe that's why we're going slow.
We forgot to pray.
It's Daniel.
that's right. What's the common denominator?
What is BBI?
That is our software, payroll, and accounts payable. That's probably our maintenance contract. construction. It's just a fund that we transfer money into each month.
For the street department or for?
No, it's for water and sewer
Oh, the water and
construction,
sewer.
like if you have big projects or something, you can use it only for that. Kind of a cushion fund for us.
Okay. This one line for the Elbridge County rubbish landfills, is that the total that we paid that month or?
Mhm.
Okay.
10/24, 11/21. On the last page. 10/24, 11/21. You'll say that?
I see it, the final one, yeah, thank you.
Okay, do we have a second now? Kagan, second. All in favor? Everybody. While we're on that, just ask Vivian, maybe she print, because that's, you know, most up-to-date bill pay,
Okay,
but she may can print it out Tuesday mornings, and of course, that would mean you'd have to come by and pick it up, but, you know, try to have it
I'll
at
see
least
if I
in
can
advance.
reduce it down and try to email it,
Because
because it won't be too
that way
late,
you would have it a
so
little bit in advance, but because
I'll
of
see
the
if I
way
can
we-
do something.
okay. So, thank you.
Mickey,
Okay. Got three things for y'all, and address everybody. Christmas in the Valley was last Friday and Saturday, and it was a big hit. Tremendous promotion by the chamber, really big turnout, and we were graced with big weather. Talking to merchants after, retail was good to great, and those that were in food sales, they had many had near record sales on that particular weekend. So it was a good weekend for business. Second thing I had is Southern Living magazine had an article last issue about 60 influential Southerners who are making a real change in their communities. And they included 14 states in this survey, from Virginia to Texas, and actually included Washington, D.C. And Mississippi, out of those 60 people, had 6 people listed in that, and 3 of those people are in Water Valley and on our Main Street. And those listed were Glenn Evans, Sean Anthony, Kagan Coglin for Base Camp Coding Academy. That we got that percentage out of 60, and no other town got 3 people in a group like that, with the exception of New Orleans. Instead of pointed out, says something about what we're doing here. This Friday and Saturday in Jackson is an event called Mississippi Mile. It's part of the bicentennial kickoff for the state's 200th anniversary. And on West Capitol Street, it's going to be blocked off from King Edward Hotel to the Old Capitol. And what is going to be installed there are going to be 100 images, all in a very large format, 5 by 5. And it's called the largest pop-up gallery show in the United States at the moment. It'll be 100 images, and Water Valley has 5 of those images telling the Mississippi story for the last 200 years. And this will also be part of the opening on Saturday of the Civil Rights Museum in Mississippi.
all right, thank you. Kagan, congratulations. Okay, next it will be our engineering bids for the water tank repair. And I'll recognize John Wiggers with North Central, who will be taking these and taking them under advisement probably, but we need to open them.
Well, these are not actually bids, these are proposals.
Proposal, okay.
Request qualifications. And so the board has to score these and rate them in order to do this selection according to the AR. This is for some of y'all may not be aware, this is for an ARC grant we applied for to repaint the elevated water tank at that's called the Mott's Tank over at 614 Lee Street over there, to keep up with your, keep you in compliance with Mississippi Department of Health as far as updating, keeping the tanks painted and operational. And we applied for this grant And since about 2 years ago, Mississippi Development Authority became the basic agency for ARC, which meant a lot more work in these grants. They do them like CDGB grants now. Instead, it used to be TVA administered these grants, and it was a little more streamlined process. But we have to do this engineering procurement now. We ran an advertisement in the paper, and we received 2 proposals, and we have score sheets. I don't know if any of y'all participated in, y'all hadn't done an engineering procurement. I think y'all probably did that before the election for the CGB problem.
Y'all have not, y'all.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What it is, you rate these proposals in 4 categories. One is for specialized experience or technical expertise of the firm, their past record of performance on contracts that, with the applicant, which is the City of Water Valley, the capacity of the firm to do the work, their staff, their capacity to actually perform the project, and their familiarity of the firm with the type of project that's involved, which is the painting of the elevated tank. And each of those can receive up to 30 points per category, and the highest scoring total number of points will be the firm that will be awarded the contract to provide the engineering services for that project. And I have the score sheets. I talked to Vivian earlier, and she had 2 proposals that she had received, and I went ahead and made score sheets up for both of them, and I brought some extra, but we didn't receive any others. You have to receive at least 2 proposals in order to be able to select one of them. If you don't want to receive one proposal, you would have to re-advertise to try to get at least 2 qualified firms. So if they want to do that tonight, I mean, to get the project going, you need to go ahead and try to do that selection tonight.
Can we
I have
input from, because several of these categories, I would ask.
let me
our
give
water
you
department head.
let me give you one of these score sheets, and it'll make sense. That way you can read what you're looking for, what I'm saying. Y'all have 4 aldermen here tonight. That's firm number 1 is Joe Sutherland.
Yes, thank you.
Willis engineer. And what we normally do is y'all can, they can open them up and y'all can review the proposals if you want to, and then score these sheets. And usually what I do, I'll collect them, and I'll sit right here and add the totals up and then give you all the results as soon as I get them done.
Either way, we need to open these tonight, whether y'all want to go through the scoring process tonight or not. They need to be open tonight.
I don't know enough to score, so maybe,
Right.
maybe our water department head could give us some guidance. about
Probably not, because probably just from past experience with dealing with the 2 engineering firms. And one of them I had never even heard of. They even said they used him years ago, maybe. But of course, the other one is Willis, which does a lot of our engineering.
Kind of guessing, because we don't know.
But we need, because they were advertised to be open tonight, we need to open them.
You can open them, and then you can, it's not in the advertisement, but it is legal to hold them for 30 days if you want to review them. But then you're delaying, them being able to do the plans, inspect, and get started on the project. And there is a 12-month construction start date time from when the grant is awarded, which that shouldn't be a problem with a water tank project, just repainting. This is the inside and outside of the tank.
I'd like to know something about The two companies.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's why we have to open up proposals for y'all to
Their
review them.
quote proposals.
Okay.
You can go ahead and open it.
That's open. This one is,
This is Joe Sutherland. He's out of Grenada. He's an old company as well. This is Willis Engineering out of Grenada. Copies for everybody, I think. I think that is just a
Thank
copy.
Willis will have, you know,
I think it's just copies for everybody.
Okay.
that's what that is, you know, that's a copy
For
for
everybody.
everybody, and Mr. Sutherland has just one copy in his.
I can make some.
If y'all want, y'all can review those. I mean, y'all are supposed to review these proposals. Just each one of them can get one.
So we just went through this process with Willis Engineering for something else.
right,
Is that the same, we put out our specs?
yes.
What they're bidding is
Well-
according to those specs?
I mean, what they're doing, you'll be selecting the firm based on their qualifications. And they will agree to do, the firm you select will agree to do it for the amount of grant funds, engineering funds that are in the grant.
So we're
For
not
the
talking about
contract.
money here. We're
No,
talking
You know, then
about-
you can negotiate with, the firm you select, you can negotiate with them for that. And if they don't want to do it for that amount, then you can select the other firm.
Okay.
I thought Mr. Sutherland was a surveyor.
He does both.
Okay.
He's a registered surveyor as well.
City clerk's gonna make copies of his for everybody.
So Willis repainted our last tank in 2012.
Yes, I've been on the board, I think, 8 years, and Willis has done all of our engineering projects, as far as I know, over these years. And they have a large firm, and have different engineers that kind of specialize in different areas.
He is, no.
If y'all want to, I'd entertain a motion just to take it under review, and we could call a special meeting in about a week to come back. It's up to, is that what, you know?
Yeah, that'll be fine.
Yes,
So much
yeah, thank you.
trying to get
Could I make a motion that we take this under review?
Okay, we have a motion taken that we take it under review, and Nicole's second. And y'all want to set a date, come back, time, a week? The 12th, morning,
Can you make morning?
afternoon, night,
As long as I know when I'm, you know,
Next Tuesday?
do the 12th.
they're new in the town, because my kids are asleep, so.
I'll be unavailable, but y'all don't need me for this, just to do the ratings.
The 12th,
We have Rotary at noon.
we did.
Have what it means?
Rotary Club.
Okay, who can make a morning meeting? Can you make I know it's,
I'll move some patients around.
Can we do it at,
Ten.
can we do it at 11?
Is
11.
that, did you say 9 of us was there?
11.
Can we do it at 11?
Whatever, it works for everybody else.
I can make 11.
11? 11? You can make 11? Okay. We have a motion from Katie. We're going to table this and come back on the 12th at 11 o'clock. Special meeting to look at this, to score them. Everybody in favor? That's everybody.
Just a whole list. This is just a summary of the sheet. When I'm bringing those copies with me.
Okay.
And I'll be here, you know, do the total things.
Did you have David Floyd, Alfred Gallagher?
Yeah.
And, you know, and if all 5 of them can be here, I mean, I'd be, you know,
We have 4 acting aldermen.
just add, so you still just have 4 acting, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. So that's fine.
And David can help y'all look at them to David Floyd.
Okay.
Okay.
All right?
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right,
We'll
thank
see
you.
y'all next week.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Okay, next on the agenda is Colonel Paul J. McDonald.
That would be me.
National Guard.
Here good or wherever you want me to
I
stand?
think he likes to see you.
Okay, I can call it. I can stand down here. Good evening and thank you for the invitation, Kagan. I'm Colonel McDonald. I'm the Construction and Facilities Management Officer for the Army National Guard. And on behalf of Major General Boyles, thank you for the invitation. Enjoyed riding around the town's beautiful with the lights. What he asked me to come speak about was we have too many armories in the state. We had, we're at 73 right now, and the armory infrastructure that we have in Mississippi dates back to the 1960s when we had 12,500 Army National Guard soldiers. We're currently at about 9,500. The force structure has changed, and as General Boyles put it to the Mississippi Municipal League, we're having a fire sale. We're not directing closures, but if cities or towns are interested, come ask us, because we have excess inventory that we're giving back to the communities. We've had some great success with Grenada. It now belongs to the Grenada County School. Drew, the mayor, contacted me recently about that one, and it's not sure exactly his plans. Several others that have been repurposed for the local communities, and that's what we want to support. But if there's strong support in the community to keep it, then we'll look at ways to rearrange force structure and keep it. But if the force structure is not there, we've had a few that we've just simply had to, we still own the building, but we just don't use it because there's not any soldiers. And that's kind of the bottom line is, where are we getting our young recruits? The 18 to 25-year-old young people that get in the Guard. And with 9,500, the other thing we found is young people, it's not like the old days where everybody gets in the same unit because that's where dad was and their uncles and their brothers and their cousins. They go where the job, the military career that they want. If they want to be signal, then they go to Meridian because that's where the signal unit is. If they want to be military intelligence, they go to Camp Shelby because that's where that unit is. If they want to be armor, they come up here to Batesville or Oxford because they want to drive tanks. So that's just sort of the mindset of young people, and they don't mind driving. The average drive distance right now for a soldier in Mississippi National Guard is 63 miles. And I want to say last time I checked, there were 7 soldiers within a 25-mile radius of Water Valley that drilled at this unit. Everybody else drives in. So that's kind of what we're looking at. And then really that's all I wanted to bring to you. If there's a strong reason that this city really wants to support it, keep the guard presence there, then we're not abandoning. But if there's a need and the city sees a need, they would like the facility. It's about 14,000 square feet on 2.5 acres, I think, or 3 acres. It's valued at about $2 million. We terminate the lease and it's yours. I set up a hand over the key.
Okay.
And so that's really, I'm not asking for a vote or anything else tonight. I just want to be able to present that to you and answer any questions that y'all might have from the city's perspective.
Okay. The city of Water Valley owns that building, the property.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Yes, sir.
And we pay a monthly installment
Yes.
to the guard, and I believe the county also
Yes, sir.
pays some.
You basically pay our utility bills
Right.
right now.
Okay.
And our income off the building is?
Nothing.
Okay. How many folks work there today?
I
Employees?
think we have 2 assigned full-time people. It's either 1 or 2. I can't remember.
It's
But
2.
generally we try and keep it to 2. If we give that facility back, the full-time personnel that would be transferred within the guard or the unit, so they would they're not losing a job. I mean, and particularly with their military occupational specialty, they're engineers. So we have engineer units in Bruce, Calhoun City, Oklahoma, Houston. So there's other like facilities nearby within Bruce is 20 miles, I think, 25 miles. So that we're not kicking anybody out of a full-time job. There's currently around 50 or 55 soldiers stationed at this location. But like I said, most of them drive in because that's what they want to do. And they don't particularly, most of the young people that, if they want to drive bulldozers and tractors, then they're going to go where that unit is. That's what I've found with most of the young folks these days.
So the Army's not trying to shut this armory down?
No, the Army, the stationing of the National Guard is purely at the discretion of the governor and the adjutant general. The Army tells the Guard how many soldiers we can have in the state, and that's where our 9,500, give or take a few, comes from. So that's what's assigned to Mississippi. Where the governor and the adjutant general decide to station those units is purely their decision. So, so in theory, the governor and the TAG could say, you know what, we're moving.
But they're not doing that, correct?
They're not doing that. General Boyles has taken the position that we're going to come first to the communities that want the facilities for whichever purpose that they want them for. And then, and to be honest with you, our target number is around 55 locations from our current 73. But that leaves no citizen in Mississippi is more than 40 miles from an armory at 55. Mm-hmm. So we stand by the Guard's motto, always ready, always there. So we're going to be nearby, but we can't afford to be in every community.
I've noticed that equipment has been moved.
From here?
Mm-hmm.
It's probably at the parent headquarters, and I'm not sure which this is a detachment off of a parent company, and I want to say it's Calhoun City, but I'm not. Is that correct?
Okay.
And that's one of the problems that we have is when we split a company, 150 man unit, for that company commander, the first sergeant, the leadership, the supply sergeant, trying to drive back and forth between 2 locations, is our full-time manning has shrunk. We're currently at about 60% of required, and that's just due to federal funding. So we have to consolidate where we can. And it also doesn't help the unit integrity and the ability to train to be split at 2 locations. So we try and consolidate at the company level to the extent possible.
Does that include training?
Yes.
Do they do any training here anymore?
they're supposed to do drill 1 weekend a month, but I couldn't tell you. It's the company commander's discretion. If he wants to drill his whole unit at the parent headquarters, that's up to the local commander. That's not
been told it's been all done.
They're in
in
Bruce.
Kansas, yeah.
Are they in Bruce? And that's the local commander's discretion if he
Okay,
wants
local
to.
commander's discretion.
So whoever the local commander is makes the call where his unit performs their weekend drills, and then their annual training, of course, is probably either at Shelby or McCain, unless they're overseas.
Any other I just wanted the community to know and talk about it because it's one of the bigger assets we have in the town.
Right.
And at some point, I'd rather not be in a position where the closure is being pushed on us.
Yeah. I mean,
Well, why would you voluntarily take two people that are full-time out of their jobs and displace them where they don't know where they would be going next?
to be honest, ma'am, as a military person my whole life and growing up a military dependent, you go where you're assigned. And you
That's right, but why would we want to displace them on purpose? They've been assigned here.
Yeah. I don't think anybody here wants that. I think we want an understanding of what y'all were doing.
Yeah.
I can't guarantee you
Right,
they won't
is
be.
this coming down for?
I can't guarantee you they won't be reassigned anyway through the select, train, promote.
Right, so right
system.
now, he's locked in his job unless we make a decision.
No.
Well,
He's,
No.
yeah, he's locked in his job regardless of your decision.
Okay.
So if you decide to divest the facility, he may get transferred. If you decide to keep the facility, he still may get transferred.
He is.
So it's not the soldier's decision where he serves. It's the command's decision where he serves.
Okay.
I mean, I've moved my whole career at the discretion. I mean, it's just,
I've had many family members in the Guard.
so it's just part of the job.
Okay.
He could live, I mean, my boss lives in Macomb and makes the hour-and-a-half drive every day to Jackson. It's his decision to continue living in Macomb. We don't base our decisions on one soldier. We base it on the good of the organization.
I understand.
And that's where we're really trying to get after. But here again, if it's the city's intent to keep it and keep the facility, and leave the lease with us, then that's fine. We'll keep the facility.
You said something about promotion. I understand Sergeant Turner may be due a promotion that he would have to leave here
Yeah,
to obtain. Is that?
I don't know. I'm not in personnel,
Okay.
so I'm in the facilities, and even if I were, I probably couldn't speak to the promotion boards because
Right.
those are the purview of the general and the chief of staff. So.
Okay.
So I just wanted awareness of
Yeah.
this as an asset, as the hospital's talking about expansion and the school is doing things, and it's a thing the city owns.
I mean, there have been many cities that have had great success. Gloucester was the one I was trying to think of that just moved their city offices into the armory. Quitman is now the county EOC. So there have been some benefits both ways. You know, it just depends on what they want and what the local community is willing to support and what they want to do.
So we're not on a timeline to be pressed to make a decision?
No, ma'am.
We're just getting information tonight?
Yes, ma'am.
We just hope we don't get an order from the governor so he closes it.
Well, I mean, if that order were to come from the governor and the adjutant general, then we would approach you and say, okay, we're terminating the lease under the conditions, paragraph 9 of the lease. Here's your notification, and we give you the facility back anyway. So,
Okay.
All right. I think that clears up because
It does.
I think there've been a lot of rumors that y'all want to shut it down. I mean, that,
Well,
you know, and I know it could still happen. I realize that. But.
and it's, I can't remember which town it was, but there was one where we simply didn't have the recruiting force structure and the people. The city didn't want it back.
DeKalb.
No, DeKalb's asked for theirs back.
Oh, they did?
I have a letter from the mayor and the city council. They asked for theirs back. But there was one that they didn't want us to leave, but we couldn't afford to stay. So we chained the doors and said, you know, we come by once a month, pick up the mail and mow the grass. Doesn't benefit us or the city when we do that. And that's what I don't want to get into.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you for coming.
Any other questions?
All right. Thank you.
All right, let me, I'll leave you. if you have any other questions or anything else you want to know about Army National Guard facilities, there's several copies of my business card. And please feel free to call me or email me, and I'll be happy to answer any questions anybody has.
All right, thank you.
Thank you
All
very
right,
much.
thank you.
Thank you very much.
Dave, what would you want? That's probably we move on.
We've got 9,501 soldiers.
Yeah, no, all right. Miss Mary Tyler.
Would-
Come.
I have a question. Maybe I can just ask if, is this you're talking about tonight, or will you decide tonight, or, because what I did is I forgot all my pictures.
So I had, this is in my ward. And I
Okay.
had the opportunity to go back to the property, so I can give a little synopsis of what.
You might not need me, is what I was
Okay.
gonna say.
So there is a 2-acre or about 2-acre parcel of property that the city has an easement across for water and sewer pipes. And the way that the easement is written today, it doesn't specify the width. And I spoke with Daniel to see if we could provide
The width.
if we could provide something with guidance from our water department of what width they need for, they have 3 manholes in a row, I think, or roughly in a row, heading down towards the lagoon. But somehow specifying the easement that the city has, and right now it's in the middle of a gravel road. So if we can say we're gonna stay within X boundaries. The property's for sale right now. Without that, it's a little unknown whether or not the lot could be built on. We're talking about the easement and having the city provide some specificity around.
On the Tyler property.
Oh.
Yep. Well, there's more to it, but I think that was the.
Yeah, because actually it was for years, it was a pipe going through the property. And we didn't know the pipe was there. I mean, we knew the pipe was there, but we never knew the pipe was there. And so there has been a huge clear cut through the property, pretty big trees, one red oak, pretty big, and a good many other trees. And so it's not 3 in a row. It's a whole system they put instead of a pipe, and it's manhole, and then one way over there, and then one way down there. So it's taken a huge, big piece of the property. And we were told when my sister and my mother had cancer, so my sister and I came down here and talked to Larry Hart, and he said, no, you can't ever build on that again. So we have been really upset about that, because we feel like it has devalued our property. So it's a big shift from a pipe you don't know exists to now we have 3 manholes. And one of them is in the middle of the property and it sticks up, and that's the one that Kagan and I looked at. So I have a list of stuff which he has. It's cheap, I only made 2 copies, I'm sorry. But, you know, we'd be happy if they were all gone off our property, but since we can't do that, it doesn't look like we have what we want. The other thing is well, the main thing is we need a legal document before we sell the property that says that is valuable property. It hasn't been devalued. And that, because there was a home place on it, and we want to be able to tell somebody that you can build on this property. The other thing is the dirt work got all messed up because when they brought their big tanks, you know, whatever size of the table. But so there's a ditch that runs naturally through the property, and it's always just run. Now we get all the runoff from DP Street. So if it was what you call a gully washer, we're going to get it all. But the ditch took care of that. So now that all this has been done, and right up above it in the other property, the Koshninis and the Coxes, they redid that, so now it's less of a funnel. So now it's going through all that where it was clear cut, and it's eroding. And part of that wasn't a driveway. It
looks like a driveway now.
Well, it looks like a driveway now. So it's really constantly eroding. The tops of the manholes have come off sometimes, and sewage everywhere. That's not cool at all. And also one thing that really, really scared me, now they brought more dirt in, but it needs to be looked after and tended to, and smooth back out through the property. But one thing that really frightened me is once I went down there and I could see all the way down in there from that new dirt, and that's a sinkhole and my kids are out there. So, it's just eroded now with ruts and stuff. So anyway, this just kind of talks about, Kagan and I talked about what would have to do to reroute it back to go through the ditch. Because what they did is they created a dam. It's not going in the ditch, it's going across the property. So this is kind of repair work.
Okay. We do need to research then when the easement was given in the 60s. Okay, and we need to figure out the distance that the easement involved.
It's unspecified.
It's unspecified, but there's probably 3/4 of an acre on between, what's that back street? Sissel, and where the pipes are traveling through the property.
I think a reasonable resolution to their concerns about the resale are that we do a correction easement to better define the easement, the parameters thereof, and any effect that it could have on the property that we would be liable for. And we could ask our engineer to assist us in doing that so that we are protected in the future, but so are they in the sale of their home. Would you be comfortable with that?
And then
Sounds good.
the cleanup, the problem area seems to be about 30 feet. It's not a big space where, like many places in Water Valley, when you start digging, someone was dumping garbage there years ago. And so there's some stuff that came up, and there's some metal tanks that got closer to the surface, and with those gully washers, they've been exposed. But it's about that garbage is getting in the way and pushing the water out of the gully. But it's not a big...
That wasn't our
Sure.
We don't know where it came from.
Sure. But it didn't seem like a large engineering project. It seemed like from, I think the Cautionina's back, was that still the Cautionina's property? Right back up?
Yeah, it's kind of, I don't know where the Cautionina's and the Cox, it's all right there.
But it looked like a short distance, and then, not to be brainstorming out loud, but if the chipper truck is ever full, I know every new soil placement runs off if you don't put something on top of it. And it seems like we could find some strategy to take care of it.
I said probably be a good idea, again, to have a new easement written with a certain distance. And David could probably get with our engineer and see what width we would need to have the easement. Because you would have to have it wide enough to get equipment in case for repair. But I think we can get that worked out, and I think we can get it. Everybody, I mean, I don't know if we need a motion on that or just an agreement.
Nothing seemed unreasonable, and nothing seemed like a big ask. It was just a little bit of tinkering in the paperwork side.
Thank you.
Next was Willie Fox, but I do not see Mr. Fox.
The deaf and family.
Yeah. Deaf and the family, so he is not here.
Do we maybe want to deliver? Are we okay with this, and we can just deliver?
That would be the new contract, I think, that Daniel has written, that would take effect next year.
Well, I would suggest that even though because I think there would be suitable debate as to whether the existing lease with Mr. Fox is binding, that we just need to follow the terms of that one to the extent of formally terminating it via written notice 90 days prior to its expiration. And then after we provide them that notice, we can also say we have no intentions of leaving, but we want to go ahead and get this new lease in place so that there's no question as to its validity or the responsibilities between the parties. I think everybody would sleep better at night, including Mr. Fox, with that.
We're also, I've been looking at another property that might be available at no cost to the city.
So
Can we get more information on that
Uh,
now, or?
well, we would have, but one of the parties involved passed away this week. One of them did.
And that would, it's my understanding that it takes a while to close down.
Yes, it would. It would take a while,
So-
and to get the other one approved, actually, also.
So if we, this one is written so that it would be a year-to-year with us having the option of extending it 12 months at a time.
Right.
I modified the 3-year language to a 1-year language, automatic renewal, and so there wouldn't be any question as that we were a holdover tenant in the future because of the added language. And there was a couple of other incidentals that were revised, just to be clear on our responsibilities. That any additions or corrections to the property, including fixtures or what have you, would be at the sole discretion of the city. Our responsibilities to Mr. Fox's land are solely to remediate any damages that we cause or through the actions of one of our agents are caused to his property, not simple wear and tear to a property that anybody would own, for example. We're not responsible for that. It's his land. So there's nothing really changing that from the responsibilities that we have. They're just more better defined. But I would, if y'all would like to go that route, or what we would need is a motion to provide him that notice of termination.
I don't think we're ready to do that because we're not ready to. We don't have the other place available right now.
Well,
You say if, because I think this is dated. The one you've done is April of 2018.
Because of the 90-day termination, we would have to go get it started. So that would give us until April to come to a final contract with Mr. Willie, Mr. Fox, on the new contract. It was my understanding that the board wants to do business with Mr. Fox, but the confusion that is created under the vagueness of the old contract, we needed something, and so that would put a deadline on both parties to enter into this negotiation. But you don't have to have it. Completely up to y'all.
Well, my initial question about the old land use agreement was that it expired in 2013, and it never was renewed by any of the boards
Yeah.
previous to us. However, he was continuing to be paid.
And address that as continuation.
The language of the contract on page 1 provided that it was to be automatically renewed for periods of 3 years unless terminated is provided therein.
Okay.
To my knowledge, there's never been a termination notice sent to Mr. Fox.
Right.
And so it would be my understanding that it's currently under the lapse. However, the termination may be given at any time. So we just have to provide him 90 days notice of termination, is my understanding of the current lease.
So what I would like to see is a clear lease that if the city is leasing a piece of property for our use, it means that our employees don't have to dodge horses that are also being kept on that property, or putting up fences or taking down fences, that it is a property that we're paying to use.
There's horses there?
There have been in the past, while the city was leasing it. So it's just clarity for all parties that everyone understands, so nobody gets upset. We can just look and say, what are we responsible for doing? Are we doing it? Great. Move on. And I think our current lease is really muddy. So if we can just move to this one, however process we need to do that, and have it on a 12-month rolling, so as we find other opportunities for different locations, we can exercise those in a timely fashion. But whatever we can do to get to this
What
lease
about the
as
change
opposed
in
to...
this in Article 1?
That's where you can get into the argument that we're not under this lease, we're just under a verbal agreement with Mr. Fox. Because there's so many things that have been voluntarily undertaken and not done pursuant to that agreement that you could argue that we're not under that anymore, we're just under a verbal agreement with Mr. Fox. And there is some weight to that argument.
Could I just propose that we deliver a copy of this new lease and ask Mr. Fox if he will sign this, and this will be our new contract going forward? The dollar amount doesn't change. The use of the property
Are
doesn't
you
change.
making that form of motion?
Is that, I'll make that formal motion that we deliver this
Deliver
to Mr.
this.
Fox and ask him if he'd like to sign it.
And this is a one year at a time lease. Okay, we have a second to that. Nicole seconds it.
So this sum right here has changed?
Has it?
Yeah, this
Did it
is
go
what the
up?
old one used to be.
How much have we been paying Mr. Fox?
1,600 percentage of last quarter.
How many
So wait a
years?
minute, so how do we jump up to 1,600 then?
Used to be
Yeah.
300.
Right, yeah, through the motions of the other
Yeah,
Okay.
boards
it's
that
Okay.
been
increased
some
it.
amendments to
Okay.
that in the minutes.
So right now, there's no
So all
material
of the
change
amendments in there?
in the compensation to Mr.
All
Fox
the
for this
amendments.
Some
contract.
that's attached to it.
Okay.
Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So this would simply be changing the terms of our lease to this new document, which is more specific about what it means to be a leaseor and he a leasing. The dollar amount we're paying is the same, and we're shrinking the amount of time that we're bound to this lease to 12 months roll.
Right.
I make the motion.
That's your
that-
motion, and Nicole has seconded. Okay, all in favor of the motion? 2, 3, all against?
Still looking.
No, you still looking?
Well, you know, we'd also talked about a cost comparison of, we're not even using this facility according to, the department head that uses this facility.
We do use.
We do use it?
Yes.
We do use it. Okay.
It's certain things we can't put in it.
I
mean,
understand that.
Yeah, and that's why we
Okay.
use the county, but we do use it, yes.
Okay. I'm ready to vote.
Okay, all in favor again now, Marie? All for it. Excuse me. Did anybody have a copy of this? Next item on the agenda, excuse me, is the library board appointment, and do y'all all have a copy of the letter?
Yes.
I'll read this. The Blackmore Memorial Library Board of Trustees at its regular scheduled meeting on Tuesday, November 14th, 2017, voted to reappoint Rochester Buford and Ruby Carr as board members for a 5-year term. As always, we appreciate your support of the Blackmore Memorial Library, signed Ms. Ruby Carr, board chairperson. And in the past, when they've asked for a board member to go on, we've just put it in the minutes and said, okay. But we do need a motion to appoint.
Bless you.
I didn't give you that.
Bless you. I'll make a motion.
Okay, Kagan, that's the motion. Sentiment seconded, and all in favor? That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you for serving on that board.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, we have the awning from Lofton Gafford. What did you find out on it, Daniel?
We found out that any property underneath $1,000 in value, by unanimous approval of its members, may sell or dispose of the property at a private sale. The proceeds of the sale shall be placed in the properly approved depository, which means that it'll go back to whatever fund initially paid for it.
Who paid for the awning chamber?
Probably the general fund.
General fund, probably, we give the chamber every month money, but we can research that. So at any price, right?
Yeah. And I mean, if y'all determine that the awning is valueless to most people, you can't, us as members of the board can't derive any economic benefit from that determination, but we wouldn't in the case of this awning. But if y'all determine it's worth $10, y'all can sell it to him for $10. If y'all determine it's worth $500, y'all can sell it to him for $500. It just can't be more than $1,000.
Was that the bid that we received? That was the bid he made last month?
All right, we have a motion
That was the offering.
from sentiment that we sell this to Lofton.
This includes relocating the awning. We have no responsibility
Yeah, you got to move. No.
Yeah.
You gonna move it?
Absolutely, but I'm buying this sight unseen. Is it in good shape? Do we know? Do I need to look at it first? Or?
How'd you know it was for sale if you don't know what it looked
Three
like?
pieces.
You can't
I know
back
some
out
good
now.
welders that work for
He's a crappy
Wait.
business. Buy it for $1 and have to pay somebody to haul it off and get it out of your way.
Can't beat it for $1.
Where is it now?
It's in Big Yank.
Store it.
I'll second the motion to
Oh, we have-
dispose of
yeah,
this
we have-
asset for $1.
Second. And now written discussion, whether or not.
Well, I would like for my contractor to look at it and see if it could be used on
I can show it to you right there. I mean, if he doesn't want it, you know, I'll send it off for scrap.
Okay, all
I'll
right.
take you up there and
Well,
show it.
let's go ahead and vote on the motion that we'll sell it if he
Right.
wants to buy it for $1.
We can make that
And then if he
decision later.
refuses, that's, we'll.
I
sell
give you
it
the
to
$1 either way. You won't be out the $1, okay? I can run across the street and get
You
it.
know, you give it to the clerk and she'll give you a receipt for it.
Okay.
All right, all in favor of that motion? Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Very good.
Yeah, just come by.
Okay, I'll come back to you.
Better take it for
not
$1.
delivery and reassembly.
Okay, the next item, we just need to place in the minutes. We don't need a motion because we have a proclamation from the governor stating that since Christmas holiday, New Year's, Christmas holidays will be December 25th and 26th, and New Year's Day, January 1st, 2018, will be holidays for our city employees. So we just need to.
And I make a motion that our
No.
department, our department needs to work around that because of the garbage. Because if we do Monday.
I think you always have that discretion on garbage pickup.
Yeah.
We always work to that, that's fine. But it is declared a holiday, you know. So that's just a matter for the minutes. We do not need a motion for that. Okay. Next item on business is the radios for the police department. And I think everyone maybe has a copy of that. Okay. And if I can find mine. Chief, you want to speak to this?
We've been doing some research over the last couple of years. Chief King started the research when the idea came up. As the time, I think we decided to go with the fire department's radios first because they were part of a bigger network in the county, and we got their radios. And ours has just kind of been sitting on the back burner. But back in June of this year, we had the officer-involved shooting. There was a lack of communication, which our officer was not able to communicate with the deputy who was getting shot at the moment, but he could hear the return fire. So the backup officer, or the backup deputy, came to the scene, in which our officer was standing out there outside the gate of the field, and advised our officer that Thomas West has been shot, and he was still engaged in a firefight. If we'd had that information, Officer Yancey probably could have responded just maybe a few minutes faster than Deputy Wilson, who got there. We've had 1, 2, 3 smaller incidences where communication as a whole would have been a whole lot better had we had the same radio system as the county has, which is the MISWIN system. The MISWIN system right now is being looked at by several law enforcement agencies all around us. Oxford, Lafayette, Calhoun County, Tallahatchie County, Panola County, not sure about Grenada, as well as some of the further up to include the Highway Patrol, as well as the emergency management system, fire, is one-way link that we can all join in and communicate when a situation arises, such as a natural disaster or a bad event, such as fugitive escaping, stuff like that, or we have to do a county-wide rescue search, anything like that. All of that can tie in together and help minimize time. It also gives us the ability to monitor other stations and other networks that are around us. So if they have problems that are coming our way, then maybe we might be able to intercept them ahead of time, just by hearing the traffic before we're even dispatched. At the way we're with the turbo radios that we're running now, Oxford did have them, Lafayette County had them. Now they're all switching around, they're going in this week. So right now, we don't have very many people we can talk to. We do have a patch system between us and the Sheriff's Department, but in order for us to talk to them, we can talk directly to the dispatch. But to talk to a mobile unit with the patch in their Misswind radios, there is a 10-second delay in the transmission. So that means after we communicate with them, we got to wait 10 seconds for we get their response back. 10 seconds in our line of work can be bad. It could be costly. So we're proposing to move forward with the Misswind system so we can get on the same page with everyone else around us, so that in the event that we're needed, and we all need to communicate with everybody, and we can do so.
Do you know what Bruce and Grenada and Batesville are on?
They're going to this week.
Yeah.
Now Grenada, I do not know.
I have a list of ones that are going to it or have already. Lafayette, Oxford, Coffeyville, Oakland, Calhoun County Sheriff's Department, Bruce Police, Calhoun City Police, Panola County Sheriff's, Batesville Police, Tallahatchie Sheriff's Department, of course, Yellow Bush County Sheriff's Department, Yellow Bush County Emergency Medical, Yellow Bush County Fire Department, Water Valley Fire Department, Yellow Bush County Emergency Management Agency, State Fire Marshal, Highway Patrol, Bureau of Narcotics, and Game Fish. They're all on.
These are all agencies that at some point or another we assist and help. Yes, sir.
I'd like to add what Frank has to say to put emphasis on these Misswind radios. I carry one, but what these Misswind radios can do for us is I can be on the coast, or I can be in North Carolina and talk to Frank, where he can't do that here. So if we had a national disaster, we have within minutes every emergency entity that we need.
I was just about 20 miles north of Jackson a couple weeks ago. And they paged out a fire and walked back. I heard it just like it was clear as day in my truck.
Okay.
He can talk back.
He can talk. I could talk back.
All right, you have the proposal in front of you on state contract price for these, and the money's available. If y'all remember, the legislature last year we used to have a fund that they kept. Well, they did either you got your money out of the fund, or that state kept it. So of course we chose to get our money and put it in the general fund. So we have the money there to pay for this.
Okay.
So all we would need is a purchase order. Yeah, yes, it can only be used for police stuff. We need, all right, Nicole's making a motion already that we do the purchase order for these Misswind for our police department. We have a second. Send them a second. All in favor? That's unanimous. And Pearl's going around. I think it's just my sinuses. Do a purchase order.
Thank you, Tom.
Yeah, thank you, Chief. Okay, did everybody get a copy of the testimony on Larry's files? Okay, I got it. If you would take one of those and pass it around. Okay, everybody have a copy of the estimate we have from Larry Sprouse to replace the roof on the police and fire departments. This estimate is less than the 5,000, so it does not have to be bid. But, yeah, but I took a tour last week. I can't imagine what it did after this rain today, but it's leaking inside, and especially in the evidence room, which, yeah. We've got to get it repaired, what it amounts to.
What happens if there is additional cost for deck repair and it bumps above 5,000?
Better not be.
We'll take up a collection now.
But could we bid that as a separate job?
Yes.
Yeah, we could bid it as decking, I suppose.
To keep both projects under?
And this don't include it, but also taking the tour with these guys the other day, we're going to have to dress the outside too. We have some rotten fascia board, the paint's peeling. So I think we'll probably get the
There's
estimates.
mold coming out of the air conditioning duct.
So yeah, the heating and cooling is going to have to be addressed later. It's an old facility.
No, I'll tell you what, the county said that they would sell us the old demolition.
Jail.
No, that's all I know.
And put the police department over there, and this whole thing would become the fire department.
I'll make a motion that we
Accept
put a
this.
new roof on this.
Okay.
For this
All right, we have a motion that we accept this bid to put the new roof on. We have a second from Nicole. All in favor? And it's unanimous. But I will also address maybe getting some other bids for some other work that needs to be done. And long term, folks, something's going to have to be done about that entire situation.
Well, I'll tell you what there's a good plan on that you could come up with. The county wants to get rid of the old jail.
Yeah.
Not the old jail, the old jail.
Yeah.
And so
The amount of work that it might take.
well, there's grant money there for a municipality-owned building that would house fire and police.
We'd have to take it first to get the, but I
But they
think
said
we would
they'd be
have
glad
to
to
be,
sell it to us.
had to be getting,
And leave this, and we repair this whole building as the fire department, and there's the police department over there, and they have, I mean, it's a jail facility. You have more
it's gonna
room
have
and
to be
more offices.
something
and-
that will have to be addressed for sure. But even before I think we would take it from the county or buy it from the county, you would need to get some bids on what it would take to get it up.
Right.
And then, because we don't want to take a facility that's going to cost us $500,000.
No, absolutely not. But it's available.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's available, and
Another option.
it may be some grants that we could apply for within the limits of repair.
Yes, sir.
What did you would need?
Long term, the building up there is in such state of repair, or offices. I'm not talking about the full jail. Whether we need a full jail facility, because you get into a lot of different things there. But just the office space is deplorable. I mean, it really is.
It's awful. And it's for money.
Okay. All right. Next, the Burns Funeral Home on Baker Street, and I'll let Daniel address that.
Yes, please.
Our prior mayor, Larry Hart, was in contact with the owner of that building and property, Ms. Jameson, who is out of Kosciuszko, and they were exploring several options at the end of his tenure. And one of the options that was, Jameson said that she was amicable to was her gifting the property to the city, and so we would then be tasked with cleaning up the property, and she wouldn't have to be, and that's kind of a win-win, and that's why she was agreeable to it. So that was the proposition. I haven't contacted her, but like I said, Mayor Larry Hart had, and so I feel comfortable that that's probably still on the table, since I haven't seen any movement on that by her. And so with y'all's permission, I will contact her and facilitate that gift if y'all would like to do that. The expense that we have is that we have to hire somebody to haul it off, and the conversation at that point was whether to contract it out or whether to have our city employees do it. But because of the time and effort that it would wrap up the city street department in getting that done, it seems more feasible and economical just to hire it out or contract it out.
This would be great practice as we look at other derelict properties around town.
Well, it's true.
So if we go through the bid process, I know there's probably half a dozen folks in town that have the equipment that could do it.
Yeah,
Well,
definitely.
main thing, that does not need to be there where the Baker Street Park is. I mean, you know, it's been burned out for several years. So I would entertain a motion that we let Daniel move forward. Nicole is making that motion. Second. Kagan.
Is that the only other privately held property on that Baker Street block?
No.
Or is there one more on the corner?
One more on the other side.
Which is undeveloped.
South, east side. Okay, we had a motion and second. All in favor? All right. Along those lines, do we want to entertain getting a bid or for the removal?
Absolutely.
And rather than type the city?
Should we wait? I agree, but should we wait until we know if we get?
Yeah, I don't want a motion on it, but I just, if we have a bid.
I'd like to let folks know that, so they can drive by and look at what we take. Do we want to take it down to dirt, or do we want to take it, I think sharp concrete. If we leave the pad, it's not a safe thing right now.
No, it would need to go down to dirt.
So it would be clean that lot to dirt.
Yeah.
So if anybody in town would like to drive by and guesstimate, we'll hopefully be in a position to do that.
And let's ask the department head if he thinks that that's something that his
Michael said
his group
that
does
they
not
could
have
do
time to
it,
do.
but he said they could
We can work
probably
it
do
in, plus I know some contractors that can give a bid for it, give you a price of what it is.
Okay.
Go from there. We'll do that.
So let us know what you want to do. You want to try to,
Well, let Daniel go ahead and make sure. The last conversation I had with Mayor Hart was that she was wanting to do this because, I mean, like Daniel said, it's a win-win. I mean, we get the property, gets cleaned up, and don't have to pay for cleaning it up.
And if anyone else who owns one of those properties that's falling in has the same idea, come see us.
We might get into a lot of fun there.
Sure.
Okay, the next item also is going to be a legal thing that Daniel needs to present.
We have obviously the Blackmer Memorial Library, and adjacent to that was Mr. Dudley Kelly's double wide that he had lived there for the majority of his life. And so there is a garage which is adjacent to that double wide, which Mr. Kelly had always used. When Mr. Kelly passed away, that property went to Bobby Adams. As disclosure to the board, I represented Mr. Bobby on several matters, and I am not currently in representation of him now, but I have in the past. And but he approached me because he knew I was the attorney for the city, and so that's why it came to me. But I'm not representing Mr. Bobby in this endeavor, but I have represented
Clerk's
him in other
making out
matters in the past.
copies of the plot so you can see what we're talking about here.
But roughly, that is a survey that Mr. Adams had done by Mr. Michael Thornton, and the property in question is the yellow, and the driveway that serves the library is in blue. Mr. Adams and his predecessor, Mr. Kelly, have been using that blue driveway since forever, my understanding. And Mr. Kelly's had that shed full of his personal property. Mr. Adams is wanting to ask the board to, one, grant him an easement across the area in blue, and two, discuss conveying him that property that him and his predecessor in title have been occupying for decades. And that would not infringe on the library. It would just be what they've been doing for decades. But that's up to y'all.
It's about two-tenths of an acre. And if I understand the law, since they built on this years ago thinking that they had that in their deed.
They who?
Mr. Kelly,
Okay.
the original owner. And they've occupied it for that long, legally.
11 years.
Yeah, it's been a lot longer than that. So, I mean, legally, he could go to court and it would be his anyway. Is that right, Daniel?
Well, there's some debate because it's a property owned by the city, and so the rules when it applies to a municipality are a little different, and frankly, I haven't researched that.
I heard the flag, one of the flags was really close to the entrance of the library.
It's probably the
Where
flag
the-
that he did for the easement that he wants.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not
So
for the property corner?
No.
Right.
Well, his in yellow is which ours is all dark, but
I see.
this block. He just wants easement here.
He just wants an easement in the yellow?
No, the yellow he wants deeded
He wants this
because
thing
that's
on
where
yellow.
the garage is built on that property.
Yeah, the blue is just
But
to
that's
get in and
actually
out.
city property?
Right. All of it that's highlighted is city property.
Okay.
He wants permission on the driveway to get in and out. He wants ownership of what's yellow.
Mr. Adams thought that probably when it originally surveyed that this offset here
The other side.
was supposed to have been here in the original survey. And the surveyor flipped it. And so they built on this, and then after Mr. Kelly passed away and started getting everything, they found out we don't own this.
I think if it's the adverse possession, even if it's a little different, seems pretty clear.
I thought so, but I wanted,
On the yellow part.
yeah.
If it's I know the garage, I've walked around the garage, the section where the drive goes through on the lower, is there anything physical there? I thought a fence came down.
Come out right here.
Yeah, closer. The yellow, the bottom section of the yellow.
I'm not sure. I've never walked the property.
Because it's driveway.
Been
and
out there
lawn,
when
I
Mr.
think.
Kelly was alive.
Yeah, I'm trying to picture on the back side of that.
So he's wanting us to sell
He's
him
wanting
that
us to
piece of
deed,
property?
yeah.
Deed or just deed it over?
Deed it over to him because of the actual possession of it for, I don't know how many years.
Is there any urgency? So there's no pending sale?
Oh, no, he's not.
No.
His grandson's living there and just not going anywhere. Staying in his family. I think he was as surprised as everybody else.
Do you
when he
want
found
that?
out.
Yeah.
So basically you said that there were some things that you need to research in the law because it's a municipal property?
Well, whether the assumption that if he sued us, it'd be automatically his, I don't know if that's a gimme, but whether y'all want to convey the real property to him, I've got that law here. But as for what would be the result of a potential future litigation, I don't know.
Can we explore that or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have both sides of it? Make it even?
I have no problem with that. I just didn't want to spend time that wasn't necessary.
Sure.
Well, we don't have to take any action on it. No.
Yeah, so let's explore all sides of it and revisit it.
Sure.
That's fine.
Nobody's in trouble. They're not going to not be able to access the property.
Right, yeah, we're not gonna stop them from going to their house like they have been forever.
Yeah, because he has a lot of stuff stored in. Lee?
Yep.
Lee's coming back, and I will say that I meant to get back with you. We found out it actually has a name.
That's what, yeah, Mike called me this afternoon.
Okay.
And said that,
All right.
What's his name?
It is Jackson Street Extended. Okay.
just have it changed.
That's what I'm fixing to do.
Yeah.
So anyway, Jackson Street, there obviously is a Jackson Street and the one running west. Not that I could find on the tax records at the courthouse or Vivian in her office and the electric department office. Nobody could find that name. Mike found it somewhere. Anyway, Mr. Woodrow Bell and wife have lived there on that street for 40-something plus years. And I talked to her daughter that lives down the hill about it, and I think everybody's in agreement. The neighbor over here, Mr. Al Davis, we all would like to see it renamed, if that's the case, Bell Street. Since she is the only, actually her address is Jackson, but it's, you know,
Yeah,
it's
the
close
south side of
enough.
our house
Yeah.
faces that
Right.
street.
So I'd like to see if y'all could maybe approve that.
What's the process to rename the street?
You say you want to rename it, I suppose.
Yeah, there's nothing complicated.
Rename them all the time.
There's no other residences on the property, no addresses will have to be changed.
All right, Fred made a motion that we rename it Bell Street. Nicole second. All in favor?
Good.
It's unanimous.
All right.
The other part of that is the water and sewer to the property. Those two gentlemen right there, I've talked with Michael and talking to Dave. I think the water's going to come off Panola extended.
Yes.
Okay, and the sewage is probably going to run down to Wagner. Is that correct? Or was I was incorrect in that?
The two houses going now, we're gonna try to take it from the top of Jackson right there where the sewer line is.
Oh, okay, to Jackson. Okay.
Hopefully it's deep enough.
Jackson
to
runs
both of
down
those.
to Wagner, right?
Right.
Right.
Okay, okay. So you don't have to run all the way to Wagner from those.
No.
But.
And that would include the third house across the street as well.
Yes.
Right?
We can get that one for sure.
Yeah, for sure that one.
For sure I can get that one, and the house you're gonna be closest to, the alleyway.
Right, to Bell Street.
Right. One you done started on.
Right.
A little further back than I thought.
Yeah.
When we talked about it, so I'm gonna have to dig it up to see how deep it is and see if we can get it over there.
What would be the contingency plan if it's not deep enough to gravity flow? Can we go down to Panola? Is that an option?
We could probably try that, or some kind of pump, or something like that. One way or another, yeah, we can get it.
And he's kind of under a deadline, so we need to stay on top of it.
Thank y'all very much. Appreciate it.
That's right.
All right, we did vote on the Bell Street. Yeah, we did.
Do we print street signs for those?
We will do. We was going to have to order a street sign anyway because somewhere over the years the Jackson Street extended got done away with, so we'll have to order a street sign for that.
Reading this?
Would anybody like a copy of this from the Adams project?
If y'all don't mind, let's skip down to let Andy come, because he does have a road trip to make tonight sometime. Then we'll go back. So we'll skip down to Andy Hall.
Did you make them a
I
copy?
think I did.
Y'all have copies?
CSA?
Yes. Did you,
About 2 pages.
did you get the figures page?
I thought I scanned everything in.
Yes. There was
Okay.
an email that happened.
Okay, okay. What it is, CSA, our billing company, they're doing away with the old billing system. It's outdated and it's gonna be the end of it. And they came down, there's 3 small companies, we're one of the smallest out of the 3. Anyhow, the price was way up there, and I'm not gonna get into the figures what it was before because of what they changed. Well, Tom Underwood came to them, we've had a lot of business with him here. He used to be over Tallahatchie Valley, the general manager over there. He sat down and said, cut it to the bottom price. Cut it for these 3 companies because it wasn't fair to charge us
the same price as what he's charging Tupelo or whoever, bigger cities, to do it because we just don't have the revenue and don't have the customers. So basically he cut it down and he said, here it is. Take it or find somebody else. I mean, he wasn't being short about it because he went way beyond what he had to. And what I'm wanting from y'all is just the approval to go ahead. Now they've done this thing and there's more documents I have on it I didn't include in with y'all. They'll finance it for us for 0% interest if we want to. We can pay a lump sum on it. We can do whatever we need to do with it. So I'd just like to have the approval to go ahead and sign the contract to get this thing on the road because we're getting down to the deadline.
Basically, the old system is gone, so we don't have a billing system right now, or we won't.
We won't.
And this is the same system that our water bills and everything is piled into this
That's
one.
right. And if you look, it may say it on y'all's, or well, it did on y'all's emails to stuff. It's a lot of upgrade stuff. You know, we've looked at things in the future, talked about doing things. This new system's going to do, you can do debit cards with it if you want to.
Yes.
You can do
Everybody
that.
does.
I mean, it's just some options to look at.
Okay.
It's got options to prepay, different things.
The computers that were on the purchase order, are those new computers for the office here? Or were those?
The compute, yeah, on this purchase, yeah.
Okay.
That's for us in here, yeah. So,
Is this the system where you can scan the bill and scan the check and all that stuff? Or is
they've
it-
got part
okay.
of it like that. They even do it with they can integrate basically an ATM outside the door.
Is that gonna cost more, or is this?
Well, yeah, there's a charge for hosting it and stuff, but I mean, you can actually come up here and put your bill in it and swipe your card and pay your bill like that. But I'm not saying we're going that way. My main thing is right now we need to get this approved so we can get in and get the training done because they'll have to come in and train the personnel in the office on this thing. So.
I make a motion that we move forward.
And this is in our budget?
It's in
In our budget?
electric part.
Yeah,
That's
we're
a
fine.
separate
Yeah.
budget under theirs.
Oh, yeah, you're fine.
He's got it.
Yeah, you got it.
I'll second.
Okay,
You got a second? Second.
Who made the
Kagan
motion?
made
Kagan made the motion, Cinnamon the second. Any other discussion on that?
Let's do it.
I think we're having a lot of excited people that want to pay for it with a debit or credit card and some other things.
Okay, all in favor?
Options.
Unanimous.
Thank you.
Move forward.
Thank y'all.
Be careful on the road.
Thank you, Andrew.
Okay, we'll go back now and pick up item 18, the ordinance to establish two.
That was David.
Okay. Then I need to break or we move forward.
Oh.
The ordinance that to move to monthly meetings twice a month, and everyone receive a copy of Daniel.
Can I just, there was some misunderstanding around the community that I just wanted to cover. All the elected officials get paid a flat fee every month. We don't get paid more for coming to more meetings for you.
Right.
I heard that a bunch. We're not giving ourselves raises.
No, we're not giving ourselves raises.
And
Still get $400 a month, no matter what.
$465.
$460.
And we already, as a city, pay for our legal services for 5 hours a month. So we're not talking about spending money of the city. We're talking about spending more of our time working for you.
Thank you.
Ordinance would have to be run in the paper.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
One time.
Yes, sir.
Do we need to read it in its entirety?
Yes.
Somebody.
Did you get my little note?
Yeah, it was great.
You wanna read that?
Yeah, I got a copy.
The ordinance would have to be read, so Daniel, are you locating it?
Oh, no, I've got it here. I was going to hit something else just so we were all on the same page. On this record, person to MEMA, detailing duties of the mayor. This is more fun.
Yes, sir. I got 2 copies though, one for me and one for you.
All right. What we have here, so we're doing this already. It's just a repeat of what we're doing, the process of getting an ordinance introduced. And this is from what publication?
The Mississippi State University training manual.
Which Cinnamon emailed me earlier today, and I went through the ordinances and, the statutes, and it just goes statute by statute. There's several involved, but this just puts it all down into easy.
Bullet points.
Yeah, bullet points. But it shall be introduced in writing at a regular meeting of the governing body of the municipality. We're doing that now. Shall remain on file with the municipal clerk for public inspection for at least 2 weeks before final passage or adoption. We're going to do that after this. Shall, upon request of one or more members of the governing authority, be read by the clerk before a vote is taken thereon. We're about to do that in a minute. Shall, upon final passage vote, be taken by yeas or nays, which shall be entered on the minutes. And we're not dealing with the franchisee, but if we were dealing with the franchise or use or occupancy of public places or rights of way to any interurban, or street railway, roadway, gas works, water works, electric or power plant, heating plant, telephone or telegraph system, it must also be approved by a majority of the qualified electors voting in a special or general election, which we're not having to deal with tonight. And then it's got to have special language, which it already has in there. And then no ordinance shall be enforced for 1 month after its passage, and that's why I've got in here that it would be, this specific one would not go into force until February 1st. So that's the general procedure to adopt an ordinance for our city. So with y'all's permission, we'll go through, and I've actually got it that will approve it section by section, and then we'll approve it as a whole in just a second. So sound good?
Yes, sounds good. Thank you.
All right, whereas under the provisions, an ordinance of the Board of Aldermen of Water Valley, Mississippi to establish 2 regular meetings a month. Whereas under the provisions of Mississippi Code annotated sections 21-3-19, 1972, the Board of Aldermen may elect to meet twice a month. And whereas the Board of Aldermen of Water Valley, Mississippi, after due investigation and discussion, desires to adopt an ordinance which would allow them more time to discuss and manage the affairs and business of the city. Now be it ordained by the Mayor and Board of Aldermen of the City of Water Valley, Mississippi, that the regular scheduled meetings of the Board of Aldermen shall hereby be as follows. Section 1. That the matters and facts found in the the preamble of this order be the same are hereby adopted, which means that we agree with everything I just said. Section 2. The Mayor and Board of Aldermen shall hold a regular meeting on the first Tuesday of each month at the City Hall in Water Valley, Yalobusha County, Mississippi at 6:30 p.m. The Board may transact any business coming before it for consideration. Section 3. The Mayor and Board of Aldermen shall meet on the 3rd Tuesday of each month. This meeting shall be a regular meeting and shall be held in addition to the regular meeting which convenes the 1st Tuesday of each month. The second regular meeting, monthly meeting, shall be held at the City Hall in Water Valley, Yalobusha County, Mississippi at 6:30 p.m. The Board may transact any business coming before it for consideration. Section 4. Whenever it can be determined in advance that the physical facilities available at City Hall will not be suitable for the conduct of the regular scheduled meeting, evidenced by motion duly adopted by the Mayor and Board of Aldermen, whether such unsuitable condition be created by renovation, multiple use, construction, or the like, the Mayor and Board of Aldermen may designate an alternate meeting place, provided, however, such alternate meeting place shall be designated and a legal notice published in a newspaper having the qualifications for publication of legal notices for the city, once a week for at least 3 consecutive weeks, the first publication of which shall be made not less than 21 days prior to said meeting, and the last publication to be made not more than 7 days prior to such meeting. Provided, however, such day and time of such meetings shall remain as fixed by Section 2 hereof. Section 5. On the happening of a disaster that would prohibit the regular scheduled meeting of the Mayor and Board of Aldermen or any recess meeting thereof to take place at the date, time, and place scheduled, said disaster being defined as a calamity, an accident, an act of God, or a like similar unforeseeable occurrence, then and in such event, the scheduled meeting of the Mayor and Board of Aldermen may be held at such time, date, or place as will allow them to conduct the affairs of the city. Provided, however, that said meeting shall in no event be held prior to the scheduled meeting, And provided further that notice of said change be posted at all public entranceways to the city hall of the city and that as police department and that the city clerk endeavor to use other reasonable means to disseminate notice regarding such change at the earliest practical date. Section 6. Whenever a regular scheduled meeting date shall fall on a date that is recognized as a holiday by the city, the meeting shall not be held on that date, but on the following day at the same time and place as set forth in subsection A hereof. This amendment shall be effective February 1st, 2018. Any prior ordinance of this body that is in conflict with provisions hereof are hereby repealed. The foregoing, so that's the body of it, which I see that the last line of section 6, there is no subsection A. But on the following day at the same time and place is set forth in sections 2 and 3. Hereof. Alright, the foregoing amendment, having been first reduced to writing, read, and considered, was adopted section by section on motion made by blank. So, does anybody have any problems with any of the sections? Really, it could have been 1 pages, but then I got overzealous and added some extra language.
I don't see any problems with it.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion then.
Make a motion to adopt this ordinance.
Kagan makes a motion, that's second. Simmons seconds. Any discussion?
I did want to say one thing. I found out how twice a month meetings work. You don't adjourn the first one.
It's a recess meeting.
Yeah, you recess it and then you continue.
You
I
could
had to learn a
probably
little
do
bit
that.
more about it.
You could probably have done that without an ordinance, really.
Not in this, but we're good.
You can.
We could have, right.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? 3 for, all against?
I would not be on to now. Did the bill call me and tell me I need to be here? I'll be here. She have done not call, I won't be here.
I'll get this reprinted into you, Miss Vivian, so that we can have it on file for anybody who wants to look at it for the required time.
It's super anyway.
Okay, we got this week. Kagan on the crosswalks.
Yes. So this, I think I talked about this in the first meeting I was here at. In terms of, as a community, we don't seem to have it as a practice of stopping for folks in crosswalks on Main Street. And as we talked about quite a bit, we have a lot of young folks and a lot of less spry older folks in town that are not able to play Frogger on our Main Street. So we looked at, I think Mike would like to speak to this as well. I spoke to him earlier this week. We've had quotes for about 6 weeks on what it would cost to get some of those. They're not the prettiest sign, but they're meant to catch a driver's attention. If someone hits them, they flap over, they flap back up, to put on our 5 crosswalks.
So
Where are you talking about?
The 5 crosswalks on
Yeah, I
Main
mean,
Street.
but installing them in the street.
So there's been a lot of resistance to the idea of having them in the street, and Mike made some good points about 32 where it ties into Main Street. It's a big curve. The same thing up on Martin Street in front of the post office. So having those mounted where the stop sign is now up near Martin Street on the side of the street. He had a similar idea for down near where 32 ties into Main. On the 3 that are 2 in front of Turnages and 1 between the bandstand and the BTC, those are straight shots. And if someone runs over them, they've crossed over a double yellow. And I know that we're talking about, there's resistance to the idea of having anything in our street, but folks are not supposed to drive across the yellow lines. And if it forces folks to slow down, I think it would be two positive things. So we had a bid come in that for about $1,500. It was $1,508.
For five?
For five.
Total?
Total. And I think Mike has dealt with this company, and he said,
You're looking at it, but you actually asked, Peggy and I talked about it, but I've taken the time to sit down and look at these intersections. Looking more at the intersection down there in front of your place of business. When you have all these people coming in and parking in, these new vehicles are so long, they're sticking out. People with that sign in the middle of the road right there are going to end up be running it all the time because they have to get across the yellow line to be able to go up the street. That crosswalk right there is close in the intersection. People coming in, big truck coming into your business as well as other trailer trucks or what we have to bring supplies in, pipe and stuff, are having to come in. Or if you come out of the intersection to go north, that sign is going to be a very distracting. We're going to cross an accident looking at it, watching the people coming in and out right there.
we have people, so my feelings are today, we have people that are trying to cross the road there that vehicles are not stopping for, and I'd like all vehicles to slow down to respect our pedestrians.
Yeah, I agree with that, but also, like I said, you're coming out from that side street, Wagner there, if you're turning north.
That's a wide turn.
When you're coming down the street,
Our streets are so narrow,
That's a
we
real
can't do
wide
anything about that, because that was the way it was laid out way back in the horse and buggy or whenever.
the street is actually not wide enough. I know I've been questioned about other towns, but our streets are just not the way the parking is, the parallel and horizontal. You can't come around and get around because these people are, some of them are so long, they're even pulling up in the park and breaking sprinkler systems because they're trying to get out enough out of the road. But when you have other thing, when you got big trucks come down through town all the time, the signs that Kagan and I looked at are some durable, but after a time they're going to be deteriorate.
Like I said, I'm not against trying anyway. It's common courtesy, that's what we lack.
It would help the pedestrian walk. What I would like to see after we look at the signs, if you want the people aware of crossing the crosswalk, then put your pedestrian letter on each side of your crosswalk where somebody can see it. The other suggestion that, like I mentioned to him, for a trial deal, and that's not right in the center of the town just yet, is to put your pedestrian sign on the side of 32 of the street. And then at Martin Street, because Martin Street is so narrow, people coming to the post office parking right there at the intersection, even though some of it's no parking, then we're going to create a elderly person or somebody going to run into a vehicle because they're not want to tear up their sign, tear up their car, but then yet in the other token, if somebody runs into that sign and tears their car up, then the city is liable of their vehicle.
So that there's an alternative, there's something that you put on the ground?
The alternative I would think to try it would be to put pedestrian cross lettering in front of each one on the street.
Like they have at the university.
Right.
That's something that a
The
pedestrian
FedExing
can read,
that
but it's
that's
not
out
something
there.
that a driving vehicle. The concern is about the drivers of 3-ton vehicles not stopping for a 200-pound pedestrian. And I'm not concerned about the 3-ton vehicle. I'm concerned about the 200-pound pedestrian or the children, probably are 200 pounds. I understand that this may change the way that people drive in Water Valley. I think that's the point. When we talk about the examples of people are used to crossing over double yellow lines, they're used to parking where there's no parking in yellow zones, we shouldn't adjust the way that we treat our traffic patterns based on how people like to drive across double yellow lines.
I just want to make one point. Can I make one point on that? Now, you come down through there in 5 trucks, that's going to be a serious problem for us. Because, I mean, it's like I say, you got them truck parks, and we ride the yellow line for one reason. Because if you come down to that Mercy, come down through that Mercy, they got people that's going to kind of, you got to watch the people. My suggestion is, what about, I'm just making this suggestion, what about just running across the road, just on 2 poles across the road?
We've got a couple places we can do that. A couple places we don't. I mean, but we could install those just to see.
So we can look at each crosswalk and look at what would be the best way to address that particular crosswalk and have multiple ways that we will
So you
caution
can set,
the
you can
drivers.
Set you can put your what a dummy sign up there and just watch the people and just see
Because all
how
of our
many times
emergency
they're gonna-
response vehicles are gonna go right down the
But-
middle of the road.
but like he said, when you have your emergency vehicles coming down, they're not gonna be able to slow down and dart around some of these vehicles that's sitting out. They're coming down the center of the road. And when they run over these things, then they have a tendency of tearing up something. Or somebody else is coming to tear up something. I've seen it in the past where the city are putting out several $100 repairing somebody's vehicle.
They've been hitting the stop signs. They had to move stop signs to the side of the road because they hit them all the time.
Right.
That's
They hit
right.
the stop sign. And the stop sign.
Why don't we
they hit a
look
good
at some
spot.
more
What about the
options?
police
So
on that?
what I'd like to do is the $1,500 would cover 5 signs that can be placed wherever they fit the intersections. I'd like to make a motion that we approve that amount of money to be spent on crosswalk signs. And then we can figure out placing,
But why would we buy these when we know we can't put those in the middle of the street?
these are, when we talked about the ones that would go on the side of the street, they looked the same, they just didn't have the base.
He's saying take 1,500 and set it aside for the express purpose of buying crosswalk signs, not necessarily those individual ones.
Okay.
Right?
That,
Is that what
I'd
you
like
mean?
to make that motion so we can,
Just designate that amount.
we have it.
I just want to say one quick thing to that. You have your sign problem, you have your crosswalk problem. I agree with Kagan about the crosswalks. I think we need to make sure. But there are these really cool LED lights that you can get. They're basically like reflectors. You can screw them in the ground right there, and they're daylight visible. See them at night. It's just a nice little light that says, hey, there's something here that maybe you ought to slow down for. It doesn't. So solves your problem, solves your problem. Might even be cheaper.
Yeah.
But I'm saying you can look into that.
So your motion is that we set aside 1,500 to address the pedestrian
Visibility
crossway
of
in the best way that we determine.
Yes.
Okay.
That's my motion.
All right, that's the motion. Do we have a second to that motion? All right, Nicole is seconding the motion. All in favor? Okay. All opposed?
You can't do it.
All right, help me to
So that's a
address
free
this.
license for you to go and
I think we have a
solve that.
matter for executive session.
Well, I got a couple of loose
I like
ends
the
if you've
black
got
and
the
white
time. One of the loose ends is that I would like to, we are currently in the Municipal Attorneys Association. I'd like to continue that, and I believe it's in our contract that y'all
We
pay
pay
for
that.
that. And I'm also giving y'all notice that as of next year, I would like to go to the summer training seminar that they have, and that's at the Beau Rivage. And so I'm asking permission to go down to the Beau Rivage on behalf of the city, and I won't stay at the Beau Rivage.
How much is that gonna cost?
I don't know.
What's the
So
gambling
just-
spot down there?
Does that coincide with the municipal league?
That's exactly what I'm going to.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I went once, it was not great. It's 3 8-hour days of classes, so it was worthwhile.
Right, right. It's not great as in it
Wasn't
you're
fun.
in class, right? Yeah.
Okay.
I thought it was fun.
So, you're asking us to
Approve that.
approve the,
Those are two different expenses.
two different things.
Yes, sir.
The first one was.
The one's in the contract, the other is a little bit above that. I'm
So we
asking
have to
for.
approve that if it's already in the contract? It'd just be a document that we pay?
Yeah, I'm just telling y'all, yeah.
Yeah, just for, when you see it on your document that we paid something, it's for him.
Yep. I think the ballpark, it was about $1,100.
Yep.
$1,000 per person to go in the summer to that event. Do we need to do that now?
No,
Or can we do that?
because it may be more or less. We can approve him going.
Yeah.
But
And I'll get everything lined up and
Then
then
we'll
we'll
approve your
submit the cost.
reimbursement.
Yeah.
I-
Motion to approve him going then, I suppose. Senator makes that motion, Nicole second, all in favor? All
See,
vote.
that's how we send that.
Was it this thing, the
Hey,
resolution?
Yes, sir.
you all old T.W.L.
I'm sorry?
Do you own old
TWL.
Yes, sir.
I had a problem with the critter tree set out front. One day last week. It was a black one. He got a wheelchair. She could not get it down through there for the Christmas tree or for it.
Okay.
I'd like the chief would give one vision. If we see what a limit we got on the Christmas tree, presented on front of your store.
So the amount of sidewalk usage in the store?
Yeah.
We can find out exactly what we should be doing.
I asked you, the chief police taught a vision, said what is limit take here.
Okay.
So the other loose end that I had was, I need y'all to sign off on the order that we basically did. I don't know, I didn't present this beforehand, but I could read it real quick. It says, whereas the Board of Aldermen of the City of Water Valley, Mississippi, at a regular November 7, 2017 meeting, finding that a vacancy exists in an elected municipal office, being the position of mayor of the City of Water Valley, Mississippi, due to the resignation of Larry Hart, said resignation being effective November 3, 2017. And whereas the Board of Aldermen of the City of Water Valley, Mississippi, further finding that the unexpired term of said office exceeds 6 months, therefore pursuant to Section 23-15-857 of the Mississippi Code of 1972, a special election must be held in the municipality of Water Valley, Mississippi, to fill the vacancy of mayor. It is therefore ordered that a special election shall be held within the municipality of the City of Water Valley, Allahabasha County, Mississippi, on the date of December 19, 2017, for the City of Water Valley mayoral special election, the runoff date of January 9, 2018. It is further ordered that the municipal clerk give notice of said election as required by law, so ordered by the Board of Aldermen of the City of Water Valley, Mississippi, this the 7th day of November 2017. If y'all could just pass that around and sign off on it, please.
We've already done it, just need.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is just
Required
something to put in
motion,
the.
because that's already done.
And then,
We didn't bring the amendment resolution.
We did the amendment.
Well, we adopted it, but we didn't do the resolution. So that's the second part.
Sorry, so we emailed that.
that's okay.
Does it need to be read
It's
or
not
does
on
it go
the
in the
agenda.
minutes?
It just goes in the minutes.
Oh, yeah,
We
yeah,
added it on
he
in the
emailed it
minutes.
to me. We just need to put it in the minutes.
Yeah.
I had one update with not much material. We've talked to 2 different folks about setting a decibel limit for the sound ordinance.
Okay.
And nothing conclusive yet. As soon as you talk to a specialist, it becomes a broader conversation. So I'm still having those conversations. If there's anything that costs money, which it may all come back and ask if we want to go that route.
Okay.
And it's opens us up for lawsuits that there's been some specific examples cited to me personally on the sidewalk. So that's, it's been tabled and we're going to continue to look into the decibel level.
And then I had one, just while we have our department heads here, we asked them to come. Thank you for coming.
Yes, thank you.
Andy ran away. But there was, I wanted to talk about, I don't have a solution, but some sort of means that would be efficient for our department heads to let the public know when something is happening. If there's a big water main break, if the power's out. I know that when the power goes out, I call Andy. I imagine I'm one of many, many people that calls Andy. So if we wanted to look into some, either a free service, like just a Facebook page where you could text in, something's broken, we're working on it, ETA of having it fixed in 45 minutes, and then we could tell folks when they call us, go look there. And it could be Facebook or something like that, a Twitter account, but something that would save you time, so when you're fixing problems, you don't have to answer your phone. You can just fix the problem, because you've said somewhere public, this is what we're up to.
I usually do that on my personal Facebook page and let people know. As soon as I know, I'll let people know. It does open.
You don't have to have comments.
Yeah, it opens it up to a lot of comments, doesn't it?
You can turn those off.
And then you say, wow, we're not talking about that tonight. We're just trying to alert the public that there's a problem.
With that, if you guys have any ideas, if you use something today, but I'd like to get to a point where we can say, the answer's right there, they're busy.
Okay.
Somebody's waving their hand out.
Yeah, I have a question about that, Kate.
What?
I have a question about that. we're talking about doing a,
It would probably be a website that we're trying
for
to
the
plug
city,
into.
yeah, I mean, why would we want to go ahead and run a Facebook page and then, I guess that's my question.
About 6 months ago, we talked about a website.
Yeah.
So that would definitely be the place that everyone would want to go
Yeah.
immediately and check our website.
And where are we in that process?
Working on it, Kagan.
I have some students that are this close to being trained up to that level of technical competency. So we're talking about making that one of the base camp spring projects. And we may be able to, as an organization, gift that to the city. But I don't.
So let's just wait to incorporate that into
Yeah.
the website.
But I'd just like it in,
Thank you,
I
Sean.
know that everybody, when I call them, they're not happy to get my call. They're busy.
Trying to fix the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to?
Well, I had an alderman come to me and ask me about the ins and outs of the structure, governing structure of the city and how it relates to the employees and it relates to the department heads. And so if y'all wanted to hear about that, I could just talk to them private. That's up to y'all.
I think we could see. Any
Government, you don't know?
any
Business.
government business with a management structure, it's so odd that I thought if Danielle could just give us a 3-minute, this
Yes,
is how it
please.
works.
3 minutes. So, what, I looked at one. The Board of Aldermen is a legislative branch, so you think of Congress in Washington as legislators, and they have the opportunity to directly talk to the director of the FBI, the director of parks and what have you for the nation, just like the aldermen here have the ability to talk to the fire chief, the police chief, and the department heads of the street and water and what have you. And so they're allowed to gather information and ask and get input from those people. And just like the legislators in Congress are allowed to go out and talk to these different departments that we have for the federal government to gather information on what needs to be done, and they're the only ones that can approve action to be done. So once the legislative body says, okay, we want a new city park over on Washington Avenue, making something up, it then falls to the executive head, which is like the president of the United States, which is the mayor. And so once they make that decision, because they've talked to the department heads that we need a new park and this would benefit and this would benefit, you go, maybe we should talk about that. So they come back to the board here, we discuss it, they pass it, and then falls into the mayor's lap to implement. And so the mayor is then tasked with implementing the project, and so he has the executive authority, the superintending authority and powers to implement what's decided to be done by the board. And so that's a neat little checks and balances, exactly. And so and then the same thing with hiring and firing. There's a lot of so the mayor can sit there and gather applications and then present the ones that he wants to the board for them to decide. And different cities do it different ways, but it kind of leaves the door open in that the statute says that this is how it's to be done, but it doesn't go into A, B, C, D, and that's the step. So the department heads, depending on how y'all want, can bring the whole basket of applications for y'all to go through, or the department heads can bring them to the mayor and let the mayor go through them, or the department head can say, this is the one I want, to the mayor, who then presents it to y'all. So there's always different ways for y'all to do it. And then if the mayor says, this is the one I want, and y'all say, great, well, that's great. If he says, well, this is the one I want, and y'all say, well, I thought little Timmy applied too. What happened to his application? Well, then, if there's debate on that, then the board might not hire them, or they might not fire little Timmy for like reasons. and then we could get into, or the Board of Aldermen could decide that they want to fire little Timmy, and the mayor says, no, I'm going to give him one more chance. So I looked that up, and the mayor has the right to veto hiring and firing decisions,
Right.
which leaves employees in a little bit of a limbo, but apparently the legislature said who cares. So we're at that. So the Board of Aldermen have the ability to hire and fire department heads and their staff. But then in the same breath, they don't have the ability to go to once they decide that the park needs to be built, they can't show up at the project and say, okay, little Timmy, you grab a shovel and you go dig the ditch. They have to leave that to the mayor and the department head to work out. So that's the neat little balance of power.
So I just never run into a situation where the mayor has to run the day-to-day operations of the city. They are the manager of our department heads.
Yes.
But they can't fire someone for performance.
They cannot.
Without
They
asking
can only
for the
suspend
board,
them with pay and bring it to the board.
which is a weird. It's weird.
That's the state of Mississippi. Yeah.
So I thought it would be good for everyone to know that it's not like we get to have our opinions about who we hire, who we fire, but the checks and balances go all the way into personnel management, which is strange. So it puts a lot of, we've been saying this for months now, it puts a lot of responsibility on the department heads because they have a whole bunch of people who are managing, kind of. We're not directly managing, the mayor's directly managing. But it means that they need to balance input from all sorts of people and make their own decision about how best to manage their departments.
And we did make a motion to allow department heads to have that authority a couple of months ago.
So you tell us what you need, and then we'll judge you on the performance of your whole department.
In a way, what the Board of Aldermen have decided to do for right now is to allow the department heads to have a lot more individual say in the hiring patterns of their departments. What that does is shift the responsibility to you guys to take a day out of your busy schedules to sit down and come up with the qualifications of new employees and how many you need, what their job specifications are going to be, and then return that back to them so that they can say, okay, we'll start with one in the water department because we decided that the water department needs more than the electric department right now. But until they get those back from y'all, and they actually asked for them about 2 months ago, we can't get started on this end, but they want to help you guys out. And I know it's a change from what it was before, because under the mayor's superintendent authority, he was doing a lot of that hands-on. They decided to shift that up a little bit. So
We made it align with the state law statutes.
Yeah, lined up.
Yeah, it's lined up.
Okay. Nothing else. I think we have a matter for executive session. So Daniel.
if somebody would like to make a motion that we consider.
Resolution?
Which one is that?
The one about the, you wanna do that real quick?
Yeah. If you'd like to present it, this is a great idea that Cinnamon emailed me about, and I think it's well worth us showing our support. But basically, the legislation has considered making the collection of fines part of it would allow the state to withhold part of their income tax return from the state as payment of their fines that are outstanding to the city. When they do that, whatever's due the city will then trickle back down to us, and there's substantial money that is not being paid to the court system here in Water Valley, and I believe our net that we are receiving from the court system has been deteriorating from the past couple of years, and a large part of that to do is because Trent Howell is trying to do, Judge Trent Howell is trying to do things constitutionally, and I commend him for his attempts to stay in line with the constitutional authority that's been passed down, but that's making it harder on us as a collecting agency for these fines, and so this is legislation being presented on the state level that would make it easier for us. And Cinnamon?
Right, so currently whenever someone receives a fine or a ticket for any reason in our city, the state of Mississippi receives a certain percentage of whatever the total amount is that the individual owes you, and we can get some of that money back. So this is just a resolution saying that our Board of Aldermen in Water Valley is in support of this particular piece of legislation. So I'll just read this. It's for a majority vote. Resolution of the Mayor and Board of Aldermen, Water Valley City Council, the Town of Water Valley, Mississippi, urging the Mississippi Legislature to allow municipalities to submit debts owed to municipalities and to the state of Mississippi as a result of delinquent municipal court fines and fees to the Mississippi Department of Revenue for collection through a set-off against state income tax refunds owed to the debtor. Whereas the Mayor and Board of Aldermen of the City of Water Valley, Mississippi, is a blank amount of money in unpaid outstanding municipal fines and fees by persons of this state that cannot be written off by the City of Water Valley, and if it's collected, could assist to enhance the City of Water Valley services for its citizens. Whereas if the Mississippi Legislature allows municipalities to submit debts owed to them to the Mississippi Department of Revenue to set off against income tax refunds owed to the debtor, then the state shall be entitled to approximately 50% of any recouped outstanding fines and fees owed to the municipality. Whereas by allowing said debt set off, the state would receive approximately blank amount of dollars, which amount is 50% of Water Valley, Mississippi's unpaid and outstanding municipal court fines and fees. Now, therefore, it be resolved by the Board of Aldermen of the City of Water Valley that it strongly urges the Mississippi Legislature to support and pass legislation to allow municipalities to submit debts owed to them and the State of Mississippi Department of Revenue for collection through a set-off against income tax refunds owed to the debtor. Following the reading of the foregoing resolution, Alderman Blank seconded the motion for its adoption. The mayor puts in the question of vote, and the majority of the members voted adoption. So,
do they have a representative yet that is going to present this bill? Do you know which one it is?
I don't know the name of it. It's through the Mississippi Municipal League.
Yeah, but I mean, I know they have to have a representative or
Samantha Wilmer can answer that question for us.
All right, y'all have heard the resolution. And again, this is...
It's just a resolution to support the bill.
Legislature may not pass.
Right, that's correct.
But if they...
Is there any reason why someone who owes the court in Water Valley money, why they should not have to pay it?
If they are indigent, you cannot lock them up. There are lawsuits all over the state at this time because of that.
Yeah. But
most people that probably owe money probably don't even file income taxes. I'm going to have that too.
And again, legislature may throw it out, but if you want to make the motion that we adopt that resolution, I mean, that's fine.
I would like to make that motion.
Cinnamon. Second.
I'll second it. I think if someone has been found by our courts that they owe the City of Water Valley some money, anything we can do to collect it.
This may be a way of collecting
some money back instead of all to the state of Mississippi. Some of it can come back to our actual city. Yeah.
The state will not even any longer suspend them due to failure to pay, or that's another law that they created. It's a it is.
Yeah.
So, and this is money being taken out of a tax refund.
Our tax refund again. People,
they may not even file.
Yeah, probably ones that owe don't file, but
But it's
if one does, hey,
a baby step in a decent direction. I'm fine saying we'd like.
Like I said, this is just a resolution that we would support legislature. But again, no, nothing is passed. I don't think it's been introduced. Well, I know it hasn't because
it won't
be
be
introduced
until 2018.
January, if they have, somebody.
We're just saying we like the idea.
Yeah,
that's right. That's
right.
what this is about.
So we have a motion and second. All in favor? All opposed? Okay.
Thank you.
Now, I think that we have a matter for executive session.
Motion for closed determination, so we
Yeah.
can determine whether it needs to go in executive session.
Okay.
We can have that motion.
Can we have that motion? Seven, Fred, second. All in favor? Okay.